everyone, my name is Lucky Shopno from the Guys Who Play Games. And we're here today with a topic I've been kind of wanting to do a video on for a little while now. I mean, technically I've been wanting to do a topic on this video for... Did I just say a topic on this video? This video topic for quite a while now, actually, for years, really, but I wasn't really sure how to handle it, but I decided, fuck it, let's just talk about it. So this kind of was started off as just a general video, this was just going to be a generic Halo 3 video, but then it ended up becoming a lot more specific about, well, mostly ODSTs in Halo 3, but kind of just Marines in general a little bit more, but mostly Halo 3, because, this is something I've been wanting to bring up for a while, and I've mentioned it, I think, in some random LP videos, but basically, in a nutshell, ODSTs are really fucking weird. That's gonna be the name of the video, probably, because that's just how it is. I'm not sure why it's like this, but there's just so many little weird things with ODSTs, mainly in 3, but even in, 2, they're a little weird at times, but this is focused on Halo 3 because that's the main one, because this is mostly almost like a comparison video to 2 in some ways, because ODSTs are, I mean, I've already said this, they're just really fucking weird, and we're gonna start right off the bat. I have a thing here. If you've ever, if you're a big nerd about Halo gameplay, you've probably seen this before, but I imagine most people haven't. I haven't seen any videos on this outside of one dude. If you ever watch their videos, right, General Kid, he does a bunch of random Halo videos. He's actually a pretty great thing for this, because he just does videos where it's just basically just user submitted facts. But if you watched all of his stuff, you might have seen him show up this one thing in one video. I think it's weird things about Halo 3, something like that. I'll probably link it. But in Halo 3, if you toss down a power drain, ODSTs just die. It kills ODSTs. Just straight up. Marines are fine. Everything else is fine, but ODSTs get killed by power drains. Who was that fourth guy shooting me? But yeah, ODSTs just straight up die to that shit. And you might if you actually watch General Kid's video on this, there's a couple random comments that theorize stuff like this, and it's all wrong, because the reason why would not be something you would be able to figure it out without looking at the game files. A lot of people had ideas oh, it's because ODSTs have shields for regenerating health, but no, that's not the case. Marines regenerate health too, and they have the same health system. There is no there is a difference between shields and health in the way that the game handles it, but there's not that many differences. It's just an extra layer, and ODSTs have health just like Marines do. ODSTs are a little different because of other things I'll mention later, but for the most part, no, they're not any different because of their shield system or anything. And you might be thinking something else, what was another thing that came up? I think, no, it was basically just the shield thing, but I didn't even show this up, I should have, but obviously it's not because of shields, because if you EMP them with a plasma pistol, that doesn't kill them. They tank it just fine, and even Master Chief, who has mostly shields, it's not the ODSTs would have to have nothing but shields, and that isn't supported, I'm pretty sure. If you have 0 health, even if you have shields, I think you just die. Because the game does technically support, every Halo game does support bleed through, or you'll take damage to your health through your shields. And this is one of those funny things that this wasn't even a topic that came up, but since I just mentioned it, bleed through is a mechanic that exists in most Halo games, and what you might consider bleed through is where basically when you take enough damage to lose your shields, the rest of the damage goes through to your health. That's what's traditionally considered bleed through, but there's actual true bleed through, which is actually used in Halo 1 for Marines, where Marines in Halo 1 do have shields and health, because Halo 1 doesn't support regenerating health. So Halo 1 has Marines where they have armor, quote unquote, which is basically just shield that regenerates, but the shields don't fully protect them. They'll take damage to their health even with shields. It's just that the armor reduces damage by a certain amount up until they lose their armor. And that's why, like, Marines in Halo 1, like, if you've ever ridden a Scorpion tank and had a Marine get EMP'd while you're on your thing, it does show them losing their shields. Because they do have shields, quote unquote, but I digress. That wasn't even the thing I was going to mention, but hey, since it came up. So, then you might be wondering, well, what the hell is going on? Why do ODSTs get killed by power drains? That's really fucking weird. And you're right, it is really weird, but there's actually a very simple reason for it, and it's maybe the dumbest reason you could think of. It's actually, funny enough, if you've ever watched some of the other videos, I actually talked about typos, like how the Fjord gun in Halo 2 is way stronger because they typoed it. Well, if you take a look over here, you might notice that the Marine model and the ODST model has a different indirect material name. And this is true only in Halo 3, because in Halo 2 ODSTs are just a complete reskin of Marines. They don't have anything different. They don't have a different model or anything. It's just they have different textures basically and whatnot. But in Halo 3 they actually gave them a different model and they have different stats. And a big difference the difference is pretty minute for the most part, but there's this typo here you might have noticed, because Marines' global indirect material name is called soft organic flesh human. This is what's used for pretty much everything. This is used in Halo 2. They didn't change the name of it or anything. It's used like this for everywhere. But ODSTs, for whatever reason, they're soft organic flesh hume, right? They didn't put the AN. They're not human, they're hume. And that actually this is literally the reason why. Because global indirect material name is what basically gets used for AoE damage. Right? So whenever there's like an explosion or something, this is essentially, like, you can even see it says right there, this is what is like that material. So like this is how that gets handled, because for like anytime you like shoot them with something specific, right, it'll use damage sections, but there is no damage section for AoE damage. That's just the global damage right here. This is where all this stuff gets handled. You can also set up stuff like what part gets damaged by it, but this is the actual material name. And because they typoed, if you know how Halo Engine handles that, it basically completely ignores this and basically treats it as an empty box. I think that's generally how that works. So because it's an empty box, actually I guess we'll show it since I just thought of it. Like, why not? I forget. It's the globals. Yeah, globals. Globals. If we go to the globals system, I think, is it? Yeah, it's still here. Everything in Halo 3, despite what you might expect, Halo 3's tag system is actually quite a bit different in a lot of ways, but it's very similar in a lot of ways, but everything's like organized differently. If we go to EMP, this is what the power drain does. So if we go to soft organic flesh, or I guess there is just soft organic, because everything that past flesh, right, just gets abbreviated. It's treated the same as soft organic, so it does 0 damage, right? But since it since it's typoed, instead I think it defaults to it's actually not even here. I forgot that it's just like not here anymore, but there used to be, I think, a thing that was just like all. I forget, but I think by default it might just be because it's different in Halo 2 versus Halo 3. This might be another little minor thing, or maybe I'm just an idiot and I forgot. But either way, because of the typo, it basically ignores all this stuff and just treats it as an empty box. So it just treats it as a damage multiplier of 1 to everything. Everything does every explosion will do normal damage to an ODST, basically. Are the things here? Yeah, here. You can actually see all the materials here. This is like a really nice place. You can see like soft organic flesh human. Like the parent name is soft organic flesh, and then you go to soft organic flesh, and the parent name is soft organic. But this is just for like like organization's sake for the most part, because you can do a bunch of things where like you could have, humans be different from in terms of like the friction and density and whatnot, but Halo mostly doesn't really use that too much. It's like I said, it's mostly just for organization's sake. Because every one of these can have its own damage type, but because they're all treated as, pretty much everything's treated as just like an extension of the original. There's usually exceptions, like hunters obviously have their own special armor type, so that shooting hunters in the back does more damage. But everything is just started organic. But since, like I said, there is no soft organic flesh hume, so there's no entry in here for that, so it can't give it an armor type. So it just treats it as nothing, basically. It just treats it as an empty box. I think that's how that works. Regardless of how it does it, the point is, Power Drains kill them because they simply, like, there's just nothing set up for them to take Power Drain damage. So they just take damage from it, basically. Essentially, that's what it is. And that's like a very, it's pretty niche. You probably haven't, most people won't see this because you only really have ODSTs in a couple missions. Like, ODSTs are pretty uncommon. They're more common in 3 than 2. So, you probably, like, if you played a lot of Halo 3, you probably have seen it. Though you might not have even thought about it. You might have just seen it and just been like, oh, he just got shot. But yeah, that is a weird little thing. Anyways, what's the next topic? I actually wrote a thing for this just to, like, make sure I didn't forget. Yeah, helmets. So, ODST, I guess I just closed it, but I kind of want it open again. Classic me. ODSTs are another little thing, which is nice. So, ODSTs. They're... Where? Right here. So, this is actually a difference in, I guess, Halo 2 versus Halo 3. Actually, I'm not even too sure about this. This one's a little weird. So, you can see their head is considered headshotable, but obviously, you can shoot them. If you shoot ODSTs in the head, they don't get headshotted because they have the helmet on. They don't actually have a thing for the helmet though, which is kind of weird. I think it's because it might actually be another case where they just didn't put a field in because regular Marines do, but for some reason ODSTs don't. And technically, this still, like, this actually might be another one of those weird, like, differences from whatchamacallit, from, I guess, from Halo 2, because in Halo 2, if you don't know, ODSTs in Halo 2 are, for all intents and purposes, right, they're just reskinned Marines, right, because I've got it open up here, right, if you look at ODST, right, they're just their parent is Marine, they have the same biped, which means they have the same HTML model, I always say that, but what's it actually called? I always say HTML because that's the stupid programming language, but it's it's HLMT for model. And you can see like what the differences are in Halo 2, right? ODSTs are essentially just this. The only difference is they have a scariness value of 4, and I think regular Marines are just 0. Where is this? Oh, I'm looking at the model. I'm an idiot. Let me go back here so I have this organized better. Yeah, you can see here, soft organic plus human, not different. Marines have a scariness value of 0, and ODSTs have a scariness value of 4. And if you don't know what scariness value is, it's a little, I don't know if obtuse is the right word, but it's one of those things where there isn't really any, like, concrete, like, I guess, how would you put it? Like, there's no, like, description of exactly what this is, because it's one of those things where scariness mainly has to do with how AI react to a unit with certain amount of scariness and whatnot. And in general, higher scariness will make it your enemies more, like, defensive and less likely to run at you, and they might also be more inclined to run away from you. But scariness is one of those things where we don't really know a lot about the intricacies of it because we don't have access to the source code, basically. Like, you would have to data mine the game. There probably are people out there that can do that, but only, like, the most hardcore, like, Halo nerds would be able to fucking figure out how this works. All you have to know is that scariness makes enemies scared of you. You know, it is pretty self-explanatory. It's one of those things where a lot of people, I imagine most people have no idea this even exists because it's not something that's, like, it's intuitive because it makes sense, right? If you have, like, I think scariness is based on who you are and, like, what weapon you're carrying. And generally, like, an energy sword, for example, you've probably even heard them talk about this during the speedrun if you watch some. Energy swords have high scariness, so enemies will be more likely to run away from you, which makes sense. You have a freaking sword, right? But regardless, I digress. These are the only differences between Marines in this game and ODSTs, right? Just the scariness. And that includes the fact that their helmet even is handled differently. In this game, in Halo 2, their helmet is essentially just a different type of head. Instead of like in Halo 3 where it's actually treated as a helmet. Which is why, if we go to ODST, I guess here, you can see like, if you look at the permutation, it says his head is an ODST head because that's what their helmet is. Whereas, if you look at their helmet, they have nothing here because that means they're not wearing a helmet. They just have a helmet head, as it were. That's why in Halo 2, if you shoot an ODST in the head with a headshot weapon, it just kills them. Like, it doesn't matter. It actually makes them technically more vulnerable because Marine helmets will actually take a bullet, a headshot bullet in Halo 2, whereas in an ODST helmet obviously doesn't. And funny enough, that's actually a difference because in Halo 3 it's actually the reverse, which I guess is another topic on here. I might as well mention while we're here. That Marine heads, their helmets are actually headshotable in Halo 3 for some reason. Don't know why this is the case, because it means that their helmet is essentially pointless. Like, their helmet doesn't take damage for them, and it doesn't protect them from a headshot. So shooting them in the helmet doesn't change anything. It'd be like if you just shot them regularly. Like, it doesn't take any damage from them. It's just, the helmet will pop off, but yeah, they definitely got nerfed in that sense. I mean, Marines in general are way stronger in 3 compared to 2, because if you look here, Marines in Halo 3 have 150 health on normal, and then 200 on legendary, and then heroic like is like the average of that too, so it'd be 175. But if you look at in Halo 2, they're only 100 on normal and 150 on legendary, so they actually got like a 50 health buff overall, which is actually like pretty big, because that's like an extra 50% of the health on normal, and then even on legendary that's like an extra 33% health. Like, that's pretty big. And I guess that also leads into another topic I wanted to... I guess I'll quickly mention this, because sergeants in Halo 2 and Halo 3 are actually identical for some reason. They didn't get changed at all in Halo 3. Like, the voice... Obviously, their voice acting is different, and they have some extra stuff, but they actually have the same health as Halo 2, which is 130, 180, which is kind of weird, because it means that in Halo 3, sergeants are actually weaker. Where were we? I got interrupted. Right, yeah. So sergeants in Halo 2, exactly the same as in Halo 3. I don't know why they didn't change it. You'd think they would have at least matched it. So they're actually worth more points, which is funny. So sergeants are essentially, the only difference really is that they're weaker and you lose more points for betraying them, essentially. Which is kind of funny. And then what was I talking about now? I went on so many tangents, but these were all topics I wanted to go over, but I didn't want to go over them so haphazardly. Right, yeah. So ODST helmets in Halo 2 are like, they're just their head, but in Halo 3 they're actually properly like a different head. Like, you can see it's part of their thing. They have the helmet, which they didn't have in 2. Or, wait. I'm looking at their wrong model. Is that even there? That might be why. Surely? Because, I'm not sure about this. They have the head and the body. Yeah, that might actually be another case where, I didn't really look into this specific thing about their helmet, but I didn't realize that they don't have a thing for it. That actually might be partially why their head just can take damage, or their helmet, whatever you want to call it. Because there's nothing for it, so it just treats it as a default. Because you can shoot them in the head and they will kill them, it just won't headshot them. But if you shoot them enough, it will kill them eventually. Yeah, because there's nothing there. Huh. I don't think I realized that. The only different, yeah, there's 2 different ones, because there's the default and then there's the captain. That's another topic I'm going to bring up in a second here. Is there anything else? It's like, I guess let me sum this up. So yeah, ODSTs get killed by power drains. ODSTs can't be headshotted in 3, but they can in 2. And then Marines are the exact opposite. Their helmets are headshottable in 3 for some reason, which is really weird. Obviously that's a big thing. Oh, right! Yeah. This is a big thing I wanted to bring up. This isn't even really a modding thing. This is just like a thing where people don't realize the differences between Marines and ODSTs. So in, like I said, in 2, ODSTs are exactly the same. There's no differences, like same health, same everything. They're just reskinned. They're technically more vulnerable slightly because they don't have a helmet buffer. Although that only really protects them from one shot, so it's not that big a deal. But in Halo 3, there actually is a very big difference, which is that ODSTs are more proficient with every weapon in the game, pretty much. Every, like, weapon that they can use, basically. And, like, if you look at, say, the BR, for example, you know, like, these numbers don't mean much without context, but this is just generally, like, if you go look at Marines, their weapon properties, you might not be able to like, Marines are a little more proficient with Covenant turrets, because the idea is that, you know, if you get them in your turret, they're gonna be better at aiming than the Covenant, for like, it's basically just a quality of life thing. But otherwise they're the same, because most entities in the game will use the generic AI's behavior for most weapons, which is like the exact same system from Halo 2. And it's kind of a system that I complained about at some point, I'm sure, but just because I think it disincentivizes making things unique. But regardless, if we say look at, you know, the BR from one guy to the other, right? There's not too big a difference until you get down to the accuracy down here. Right over here, the accuracy bounds. You can see that a big difference here is that ODSTs have higher normal bounds, higher heroic bounds, and then legendary it starts higher but ends the same because it can't go higher than 1. And their accuracy time is also higher, which, or at least on normal and heroic, which basically means that what this, like, I've talked about this before, but just, you know, as a refresher, basically the bounds is what dictates these down here, these actual, like, burst patterns, because every burst most burst patterns in the game are composed of an inaccurate and an accurate value, essentially. And what the bounds does essentially is it interpolates, like, perfectly from one to the other. So, like, you can see, like, the rate of fire is 4 for a plasma rifle and inaccurate, and then it's at accurate it's at 9. So halfway, if the bounds was 0.5, that's where he was at. They'd be at, like, what, 6.5? That would be their rate of fire ish. There might be some rounding involved there, but basically higher bounds generally means they're more accurate, and like it dictates where in the actual, like, burst, like, pattern that they're actually at, which one of these two, like, how close to one or the other they're at, basically. And the time is basically how long they have to shoot to go completely from the bottom to the top. So in Legendary, in Halo 3, most things are around 3 seconds, I think. So in Legendary, it takes them 3 seconds to go from halfway to full accuracy, essentially, for a Marine. And for most characters, for generic. But the ODSTs start off at 0.75, so they actually start off, even on Legendary, they start off, like, you know, a decent bit more accurate. And it's especially notable on, like, lower difficulties, where they're getting accurate faster and starting off higher and ending higher than other things. It's less of a big deal on Legendary, but it's still, like, they're a fair bit more accurate with most weapons, basically. They start off more accurate and end their burst more accurate. And there's, like, a weird thing, too, that's different, is that, for whatever reason, specifically for the Furod gun, or I guess the flak cannon as it's referred to, the Furod cannon, and the rocket launcher, you can see the maximum they can fire it is 30 world units for generic, but for ODSTs they can fire it from 50 world units. They can fire it from almost twice as far. And it's the same thing with where's the whatchamacallit, where's that rocket launcher? The rocket launcher is the exact same thing, where they can fire from 50 world units, which is why if you've played a lot of Arc, you've probably given them rockets on that level, because that makes a big difference. Be right back. Ugh, them dogs want it in. So yeah, for whatever reason, specifically, they decided to make ODSTs. This actually, I wonder if this is another one of those things where this wasn't intentional. It's just at some point last minute they may have made it less. They might have made it so the range was reduced for certain characters. You can also see they don't aim at feet, which is like a new box. This is a new thing for Halo 3 that wasn't in Halo 2. That like basically instead of aiming for the center of their body, they'll aim for like where their feet are. Which, if you've played a lot of Halo 3, you've probably felt the ramifications of this, where it makes sense if the ground is flat, but a lot of times when there's like, if you're playing like, the Storm, the fact that they'll aim at their feet means they might end up shooting the floor in front of them a lot because of how like, relatively like unflat the ground is, right? It's very bumpy. Which is kind of a flaw, because like, it's kind of funny. It makes sense to tell them to aim at the feet, but it does have some weird ramifications where it probably makes them kill themselves a lot more than they really should, which is kind of an unfortunate byproduct, but what are you going to do about that? Right, sergeants. Is that the last thing? Yeah, that's the last big thing I wanted to talk about. So, ODSTs, there's ODST sergeants in Halo 3. They're not in other games. There might be some in Reach, but if there are in Reach, it's probably just a leftover that doesn't really mean anything. So, the ODST sergeants in 3, they're really weird because you'll notice that their parent is not ODSTs, it's just Marines, right? They still use the biped and stuff, but they're just a different Marine, basically. And the problem with that is that if we go down here, we'll see they don't have the weapon properties, because of course they don't. For whatever reason, right, they decided to make their parent the Marine instead of just making an ODST. So instead of inheriting all of the ODST traits, they inherit all of the Marine traits, which if you can understand what I'm saying. The funny thing too is they actually are worth less points. They're only worth 50 points. Regular ODSTs are worth 100, so you actually lose less points for betraying sergeants than you do like actual ODSTs. They are like proper, like they have like the rank system set up, so they are technically a captain, or like a sergeant or whatever you want to call it. Like they are the one that leads the pack, but they're actually worse because they're worse with weapons than regular ODSTs. The sergeants kind of suck, basically, which is kind of a funny thing. And it's not super obvious, like, no, you wouldn't really notice this in-game, just because, like, it's hard to tell. The main way you'd be able to tell is, if you gave one a rocket launcher, he can't shoot it nearly as far as other ODSTs. And it's kind of a funny thing, because it's literally as simple as making his parent the ODST. That's all it takes to fix that. But for whatever reason, like many things in Halo 3, there's just a lot of weird things under the hood. Like I'm not going to talk about this probably ever, because it's not really a topic that this is more of a topic about just like game design and balance. But like the fact that there's like, if you look at brute characters, right? Go to AI and it's like, oh look, there's a regular brute, there's a bodyguard, there's a captain major, there's a captain ultra, there's the chieftain, there's 2 different chieftains, there's a jump pack. There's regular brute majors and ultras. There's the stalker. There's so many brute variants, but so many of them don't really have much of a difference from one another. Like there's like a dozen brute ranks, and most of them are the same. It's weird, and like some of them aren't even different in terms of how much damage they can take. Like, I guess I'll quickly show this. That we can look at a brute captain, right? All the brute captains are basically the same as far as I remember. The only difference is that a regular brute captain has 79 health. And 100 health on legendary. Look at the Captain Major. I believe he's 79 120, I want to say. Like So on normal difficulty, brutes and a regular captain and a major captain are identical. For whatever reason, that's the way they did it. They're different on heroic and legendary, where a major has more health then. And then you can probably guess that the ultra is actually going to be, I think, 100 120. Yeah. So in legendary, brute majors and brute ultras captains are the same. For whatever reason, that's the way they did it. I don't know why. I kind of get it, but it's still weird to me that that's the way it's done. But I digress. That's a topic for probably never. But what was I? Right. So the sergeant ODSTs, whatever you want to call them, are basically they suck ass. They aren't upgraded at all. However, there is sort of a funny thing with that, and I guess I'll open it up. Like, let's just do this. So let's go to waste. So in the Covenant, you know, it works as fine, but in the Ark, the ODST sergeants do not work the way you might expect them to, which is really weird to me. It'll take a little bit for this to open. I guess I'll mention, like, I open up Space Station and Delta Control from Halo 2, which is Cairo Station and Great Journey, because I just wanted to show off, like, Halo 2 has a ton of Marine variants, but they're all, like, compared to Halo 3, they're all a lot more, like, cleanly organized and, like, make sense. Like, there's a variant for Johnson in his little dress suit. The main difference here is that he has a thing that he fires turrets differently, because, you know, he has a turret at the start. Whatchamacallit, there's just the regular dress. These are basically just sergeants, but, you know, they have their fancy dress suits, right? It's a lot of stuff is like that. There's the Wounded Marine, the rare Wounded Marine, he's just a fancy looking Wounded Marine. He's otherwise exactly the same though. He's not even weaker, so, you know, dude's covered in blood, but he's doing good. Obviously, there's female Marines. In Halo 2 and 3, they're exactly the same. Just different bipeds, because, you know, they do be ladies. And otherwise, though, like, everything makes sense. Like, there's regular Johnson. I guess fun fact about Johnson, you notice he has 10,000 health. That it's like, that has nothing to do with the fact that he's invincible, because the game just flags him as invincible as part of, like, every level script, because he doesn't even have it set up as part of his thing, because he's just a Marine, just with, like, different textures and whatnot. But they give him 10,000 health basically because it makes it way harder for him to flinch, because you can see hard ping threshold. Basically what hard ping threshold is when you do, in this case it's 0.2, so when you do 20% of his health in a certain period of time, it causes him to flinch, right? And then make him go, oh no, you know, get knocked backward or whatever into an animation that stops him from doing anything. And because it's, you know, his health is 10,000, doing 20% of 10,000 is 2,000. You'd have to do a shit ton of damage, considering that, you know, your average elite has 70 shields and 30 health on normal, which, you know, makes a big difference. But they technically didn't have to do it like that. I'm not sure why, because they could just make his hard ping threshold way higher. But I guess it's just the easiest way to do it. It doesn't really matter, so it doesn't, like, who cares, right? It's the same result. It's not as clean and organized looking, which is funny because I just said it, that overall it is, but it's because in this case it doesn't matter. It's just a different way to do it. So, like, it's not the way I would do it, but it, like, I'm not Bungie, so what can I say? I guess there's Miranda. Miranda is a little different because she is her own thing. And she is actually, like, properly, like, flagged as invincible, which is why you can shoot her to flinch her pretty easily, but she'll never die. And yeah, I guess there's the Johnson boss, which is the same thing, but he has, you know, weapon properties for shooting his fancy no player beam rifle, which you can't use, you know, as indicated by the fact that it says no player. Johnson is mostly the same, although he's also using a Marine Massive biped, which is pretty funny. Marine Massive is essentially just regular Marines, but if you go to is this collision? No, that's something else. Where's the weight? I forget where the weight is. It's like a spot for bipeds to have weight. I think it's down somewhere. You'll notice because it's a huge number. Yeah, right here. He weighs 80,000 mass, and for reference, I believe the player is 100. So he weighs a shit ton. That's why you can't move him. I think Miranda's the same thing. Actually, let's look at Miranda's biped. How much does Miranda weigh? I think she's also 80,000. I think that's just the number they use, but it actually might be higher for her. No, for her it's just 10,000. So she's actually a little more movable than Johnson, but still very heavy. That's why in Cairo Station she can, like, push boxes around and shit very easily. And, like, you can't push her very easily in that level either. Yeah, I think that's pretty much everything for that. And Last little thing here, though, like I was mentioning. So, ODST sergeants, they are whatchamacalliter. Like I mentioned, right? They suck essentially, right? They're treated as just reskinned Marines essentially in a game where ODSTs weren't reskinned Marines, but they kind of fucked up on that for some reason. But which one is it? It's if we look at the squads here, right? These are like the I'm looking at the wrong one. I'm looking at the groups. I had to look this up yesterday because it's one. There's not a couple. There's a couple captains that spawn in on the Ark, and they're very specific. Like you have to like look at a specific one because they spawn like they're like by themselves. It might take me a second here because it's very specifically named. I think it's FL. Which one is it? Crap, I don't remember now. I think it's like something like Marine Solo. Like I would know if I saw the name. Because if you don't know, the Ark's not organized super well. Because I'm guessing because they did a lot of like tweaking to it. So a lot of the script like squads are like just in not super specific orders. Is it X on foot? No, that's a different one. There's the cave. There's Johnson with his dudes. Crud. See, I could open up Sapien, which would help because I know exactly where it is if I look at Sapien because I know the spot where he spawns. I just don't remember which one it is. There's Marines. Because there's some of the dudes at the start, but they're not. That's not the ones you're looking for. It's like, is it? It actually might be FL, and what I'm thinking of. Let me see, because it's not the LZ. You might think it's the LZ because there are ODSTs in the LZ, but the one I'm thinking of, like, there's a dude that spawns in front of you, right? Oh, is it the intro dude? Yeah, here you go. Yeah. That's what it is. It was B1. So B1 is the captain, and you can see he's actually spawned in as an ODST, not a sergeant, because there is no Marine ODST sergeant in the palette for the Ark. Because if you look here, you can see that there's, he's called the sniper. Instead of spawning him in as a ODST sergeant, he's actually just spawned in as an ODST, and then he's just given an active variant captain, which basically just reskins him to be the captain, right? You know the difference because regular ones have the white stripe on their shoulder, and then the captains have the red stripe. And the funny thing about this is because this is the way they did it, this guy doesn't suffer. This guy is essentially a true just reskinned ODST, right? So he can use rocket launchers just as fine, which is why you'll never notice this on the Ark. This will only happen if you like give him a rocket launcher on the Covenant. I'm not sure. Are there even any rockets you can really give him? I'm sure at some point there probably is if you carry him with you, but yeah. That's kind of a funny thing. And like because of that, it's also a weird thing where because that he's not a true captain, he doesn't have higher rank than the other ODSTs, so they don't follow him in the same way. So it's kind of weird that they went out of their way to have a Marine ODST sergeant. Say that's a mouthful. And then for one of the 2 levels ODSTs show up on, they didn't even use it. It's so weird. There's so many weird things like that. I mean, if you even want to just look at other random things while I'm here, like, whatchamacallit, if we go look at Sentinels, I think General Kid did a video on this too. There's the old system where there's like, there's the regular Sentinel aggressor, there's the Sentinel Major, and then there's a Sentinel Captain. Exists in Halo 3, and they actually kind of exists, even though they're all, I think, treated the same for some reason. Like, the variants still exist, but I don't think most of them, like, really get used. Like, let me see here. Like, you can see, like, how, like, 25, 45, and then the majors are just the ones with shields, which makes sense. And I think the aggressor, like, it exists, but it's not something you would ever know because, the captain, like, they aren't gold like they are in 2, right? So they just look the same. The one difference, though, is that, whatchamacallit, you can see here that they don't trade weapon, right? Whereas the other ones do. The regular Sentinel does have don't trade weapon, and majors are based on this one, but the captains have their own thing, which doesn't flag it, which is why if you watch the General Kid video on this, there's one Sentinel Captain in the Covenant when you're running away from Gravemind at the end of the level, that you can add, the weapon prompt for switching weapons with actually shows up if you go in front of him. You can't trade weapons with him because he can't use any other weapons except for Sentinel Beams, but like the weapon prompt does show up, which shows you that it is a different Sentinel, which is like a weird thing. And it's one of the many little weird things. There's so many weird things with this. Like, don't even get me started on the fact that ODST added jump pack majors and ultras for brutes. But if you actually look at ODST, jump pack majors and ultras are exactly the same as regular jump packs. There's no difference. They're not stronger. They're just different colors. Like, there's no difference. I don't get why do they even bother? Like, it's so silly. Like, what's the point? And it's especially weird because they added drone variants in ODST. Like, they added a bunch of drone variants, right? They added majors, ultras, captains, and a captain major drone. And those ones are different. They do have more health and have different colors and stuff. So I just like, oh, Halo 3 is such a weird, like, there's so many weird little, like, why do they even bother? Like, they went to all this effort for something that doesn't do anything, except I guess the jump pack brutes at least are different colors, but like it's fake, because you would think in every other Halo game, you know, different colors means they're at least like a little tougher or weaker or something, but that's not true in ODST. Like, you know, fuck it, I'm actually gonna open up. What should I call it? I'm gonna open this up right now. In fact, do I still have this up? Yeah. So let's go to ODST. I guess this is gonna go a little further, but this will be the last thing I do. I just want to show off that how stupid this is. That there's like, let's look at brutes. It's like, because of this, there's essentially even more variants in ODST, because there's jump pack major, and then jump pack ultra. There's also trackers. I forgot about that. Trackers are like, I forget, are trackers in Halo 3? I forget, but I digress. So you can see, like there's a weird thing too, where like this happens a bit in Halo 2, but this happens a lot in 3, where like, even though jump pack are inheriting traits, you can see like they still have their own general properties, even though if you look at them, they're exactly the same. Like, it's just like, and like you can even see here, like, same health. You know, you look at the jump pack ultra, you know, same general properties, same vitality, it's the same. He has the exact same health. There is no difference. Why do they even bother? Like, why do they even bother giving him his own vitality properties? Like, I think technically this shares. So like, if you delete the one for jump pack, I think it deletes it for these two. But it's like a weird thing where I'm not sure why. It's just weird, you know what I mean? If you look at engage properties, I think their engage properties are the same too, yeah? Like, what's their parent? Like, you can see the jump pack major's parent is the major, actually, so yeah, I'm wrong. For some reason, they did it like this. It's like a waste of space and a waste of time. They had to spend time manually putting these in when they could have just had the jump pack's parent be the brute major. It's like whoever worked on this wasn't freaking like, I don't know, it's like they weren't used to it or something. Like, I don't get it. Like, it's just a waste of time and space. It's like all the same values here, exactly the same. I don't think there's anything different here. Like, I think the only thing that changes is I think their equipment is actually different that they'll use. Because the brute regular jump pack doesn't have anything different because he shares his stuff from the brute major, I believe. Right, he doesn't have a thing for equipment because I think the brute major already has stuff for using like trip mine stuff. Like, you can say same health. The brute jump pack already is also redundant because he's getting his health from the brute major who has the same health values. And he's getting it from the brute. I think when it comes to actually, another thing, I think when it comes to the equipment, the reason why it's different is because I think they use the... Actually, is that even true? Where is this part of? I know because like jump pack brutes are supposed to use trip mines. And I forget where, let me see here. Like, does he have the jump pack style? No, I don't remember how this is done. I know that they use trip mines. At least this is true in Halo 2. Maybe this isn't true in Halo 3. Or in Halo 3 ODST versus Halo 3. Who freaking knows? Because if you look at these guys actually do have a thing for equipment. Or they can use trip mines and whatnot. Anti-vehicle trip mines. I wonder if I'm biased in this sense. Maybe I'm thinking of something else. Maybe it's just that brutes tend to be given trip mines, but that they still won't use it. Like if I look at regular brutes, this might just be part of the regular brute, and just the way this is done is that regular brutes just don't usually get given trip mines. Because if you look at no. They have a thing here. They don't have a thing for trip mine. Is that actually the difference? Is that the one difference? Is that brutes, the regular jump pack brutes, can't use trip mines in ODST, but the majors and ultras can for some reason? Is that the new thing? Because you can see how the ultra actually doesn't even have this. He doesn't have a... No, he does. I'm stupid. I'm just blind. Well, you know, what else is new? I was giving them the benefit of the doubt, but no. It's exactly the same. Same odds. Cover is 0.5. Let me quickly open up Halo 3 again, I guess. Because I have to check this now before we finish. Characters, blah blah blah, close everything, make it. So, brute jump pack. Oops. Brute jump pack. There we go. Yeah, there are stalkers in Halo 3. I don't even remember what stalkers do. Because no, there is no tracker. So yeah, tracker is new to ODST. Who'd have thought? I don't remember what trackers do, because I didn't even know they were a thing. I remember them existing, but I thought they were in Halo 3. So, brute jump packs see, there you go. In Halo 3, brute jump packs do throw. So I guess that's the only difference, is that for some reason ODST actually made it so they don't throw trip mines anymore. But the majors and ultras still do, because they're just copy and pasted, and they probably changed the regular brute and then just never changed the jump packs, like the upgraded ones, because of course they didn't, because it's Halo 3. Halo 3 is fucking weird, but I digress. This has already gone way overboard. This is supposed to be just a freaking ODST video, but whatever. Then I can just make it like a general video about ODSTs and whatever. So anyways, yeah, that'll be it for this. I don't know if what other topic I might go over in the future, because I kind of just like cannibalized a couple things, but there were tiny things about brutes and sentinels anyway, so it doesn't matter. I honestly can't think of anything I might do in the future, so we'll just leave it for then. You know, whatever. See you guys later.